Everybody, Jambo, Mike Dooley, and our celebration continues over the release of Notes from the Universe, a card deck, 60 cards on love and connection. The best of 3,000 Notes from the Universe I've ever written. In that way, I mean the funniest, the most insightful, the most piercing, the most confidence-inspiring Notes from the Universe I've ever written. And as part of this celebration for this 60-card deck, every day for the last 2 weeks, ending on this Friday, a brand new card deck, Compliments of Hay House, mailed to your address anywhere in the world. So if you want to win today, I have to answer your question. So you got to post a question right now, right here on the live feed. If I answer your question, you get a card deck. So of course your questions are going to be read by the public. Be careful of what you ask. And as you think of what your questions are for the giveaway, I'm going to randomly draw, I've already done it, a card to read to you today. These are cards that might be called oracle cards. You've heard of angel cards. We like to say, you know what angels use? Notes from the Universe cards. You can just randomly pick one out to give yourself advice, direction, support, counsel. You can ask a question and then randomly choose a card and see what you get on love and connection. And we all have questions with regard to love and connection. The card I got today, when fear speaks, it's always wrong, unless being chased by wildebeests. And when love speaks, it's always right. And usually bouncy. Game on, the universe. On the back of every note card, there's some additional thoughts for consideration. Don't be misled. Don't be misled. Now that could have a double entendre or more, but what it's talking about is fear. When fear speaks, it's always wrong. And I often get that question, how do I know if it's an authentic warning from my inner being or if it's an irrational fear? If you have to ask that question, it's an irrational fear. Okay, how do I know if my fear of heights is telling me not to fly on the plane this weekend because it's going down? Irrational fear, that plane is not going down. Fear is always wrong. Fear comes from this place, this belief, this worldview that says you could somehow be made less than who you already are. An indomitable spark of God, a mini-me of divine intelligence, an intergalactic gladiator of love and joy and adventure. That's who you really are. How does fear stand up to that? It gets knocked down every single time. Whereas when love speaks, should I tell him how I feel? Should I tell her how I feel? Should I be a little bit more vulnerable? Should I go out on a limb and take a chance? Should I be the first to say, I love you? Hell to the yes. You got nothing to lose. If somebody takes you for granted because you showed them your heart, they're the wrong person for you. Okay? And I have learned that in my decades as an adult, many, many, many times over. Bare your heart. Show your love. Let the fun begin, Okay, so let's see what your questions are so that we can give away a deck of cards. A deck of 60 cards, beautifully designed, artistically inspired, Notes from the Universe on love and connection. All right, why is it so hard for us to just focus on the ultimate end result? Boy, what a great question. Marua Bicha, I don't want to say that wrong. Please email Ivy, I-V-Y, Marula, Ivy at tut.com, IVY at tut.com. She's going to send you a free deck of cards no matter where you live in the world. The question is, why is it hard for us to focus on the ultimate end result? Because we're alive at a primitive time in the jungles of time and space. Right now, we are caveman and cavewoman, you and I and everyone else, using almost exclusively our physical senses. And we have this belief that there's us and then there's the world. Instead of realizing the truth, there's us and then more us. We think that the world needs to be contended with, that we need to kind of battle the world, that we need to force our desires. We think we need to plot where we are in these hallowed jungles and therefore calculate with our logical brain how to go from A to B. All of which is backwards, all of which neglects and is oblivious to your spiritual heritage. You don't need to plot where you're going to go. You need to create a new picture here of the end result. Yet that seems ineffective. So we aren't happy with focusing on the end result. We want to make different people behave different ways, show up at different times, play the right card, shake the right hands. Yes, it's important to physically be out there because the new picture in our mind of an end result of joyful, rocking relationships is being pressed to us. It exists the instant we define it. What remains for its manifestation is for us to be out there in the world, not hitting the home run, but just being available to meet the right person and at the bus stop, sitting on the airplane, at the trade fair, in the break room, at lunch, at the corporate headquarters. Then the magic, the serendipities, and the so-called coincidences can unfurl and be played out because we've programmed them with an end result. So end result doesn't mean have a picture in your head and then be passive. It means have a picture in your head and get it on, but without an insistence as to who, what, where, when, or how. That's what it means. And your question is, why is that so hard for us? We've been taught by those who love us the most that we must make things happen. But we've been taught the wrong way to make them happen. Yes, you must make things happen. But it's through end results. Show up, be open, be willing to be surprised by even better than you thought of as who, how, what, when, and where.